I'd like to welcome everyone tonight. Thank you for being here. It's the Public Works and Planning Committee for February 4th, 2025. First on the agenda, we'll call a roll.
Commissioner Cush.
Present.
Commissioner Piercy.
Here.
Commissioner P.
Here.
Commissioner James.
Here.
Commissioner Todd.
Here.
Commissioner Boyd.
Here.
Chairman Johnson.
Here.
Thank y'all.
Next, we'll have approval of the minutes. Vice Chairman Dodd.
Thank you, Chairman. I've read the minutes and found them in order and make a motion that they be approved.
Second. We have a motion and a second to approve last month's meeting minutes. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Building Codes Report, Tanya Bell. Welcome. That's what I should have done. I'm sorry, Tanya. Yeah, we have public comments, and we do have public comments tonight. First one is, I'll just say Keith. I don't know what Bratcher, okay. It didn't look like Bratcher. Sorry. Keith Bratcher. There you are. Oh.
I didn't have no type of speech. I just had some things I wanted to bring out. I know later on in the agenda y'all have the, I'm speaking again, or about the, where you have the Republic Services. Y'all were talking about trying to put words in anybody's mouth, but I think y'all were talking about with them about purchasing the old landfill and expanding the existing landfill. I live out in that area. I live in Las Casas, live off of Jefferson Pike, so I've had to deal with the landfill just like everyone else out there, not as much, but have dealt with I'm the highway commissioner in that area. I went and spoke with the folks with the landfill, mainly because of the roads. Jefferson Pike is a state route, so I've had to have some help from state delegation here in the county to with roads issue. But I think the people out there, along with myself, definitely don't want that landfill to be expanded in any way, form, or fashion. We had the old county landfill there for years. Then Republic came in there, and that's, I don't know exactly what the expiration date on the landfill is for them. I know they put the new transfer station in there, so Rutherford County is prepared to do what we need to do with our trash when that day comes. And whatever that expiration date is, we need to, I say we, I'm talking about Rutherford County, we need to let that expire and let that be done with. Good riddance. I think the people out there, we're just sick of it. We're tired, even though when that thing closes down, we're still going to have to drive by Mount Trashmore, see that for quite some time. So anyway, I'm kind of coming to you as a citizen. I live out in that area. I've had numerous calls over the years about the road, the trash they put on there. They have not been a good neighbor at all. So I just want to say, let's let that thing expire. Don't expand it. Don't any way, form, or fashion. Let that be over with and done. So that's about all I got to say. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Keith. Next, we have Will Jordan, previous county commissioner. Welcome.
Johnson, members of the Public Works Committee, I appreciate you taking the time to listen to some public comments. I'm Will Jordan. I live out in the Leanne area, served quite a few years sitting in that chair right over there, but I'm here to talk about apparently the proposed expansion and extension of the landfill. And I'm a little confused as why that's even on the agenda, because this commission voted in 2018 in an overwhelming vote, which I believe was 19-2, to be against the expansion and the extension of the landfill. And I would think before any serious conversation were had, the commission would need to address that. So I'm wondering why it's even on your agenda at this point in time, but hey, I'm not an attorney. I'm just curious about that. In my opinion, that landfill is one of the worst things ever happened to this county. It's been a blight on the Walter Hill community in North Rutherford County for going on 40 years. I feel like the county has become addicted to the tipping fees and the host fees, the money from this. It's going to be hard to not have a landfill and pay to go somewhere else, because it could affect our tax rate. But 93 other counties, probably more, minus a couple, don't have landfills. They take their garbage somewhere else, and I would love to see a day when our garbage wasn't being brought through Walter Hill and wasn't being put upon on the citizens out there in that area. I don't know what the, if this were to be approved and this expansion was to go forward, and from what I've read in the paper, it could take, add another 30, 40, 50 years. I mean, like, I don't know what you tell the chamber to do to promote Rutherford County. Say, hey, we've got a stench in the air and contaminated water, but we've got a low tax rate, so come on here. I don't think that that's something we want to be known for. I wonder if, I read in the WGNS website this morning that this deal could potentially be worth $1.1 billion to the Rutherford County, but how much is a community worth? What's next? I mean, what if a penitentiary wants to come in and go to Christiana? How much revenue would that bring in for us? Do we want to be known that we're going to sell out our citizens because it's the most financially responsible thing to do? I would just beg you to think for that. What is it worth to just continue to throw this community under the bus, and stuff? So that's about all I got to say. I've got a niece dancing at the halftime show at Central Magna here in a few minutes, so I'm not going to stick around and listen to you guys debate this. I just wanted to say what I had to say. I do appreciate what all of you do, and I spent 16 years up here, and I know it takes a lot of time away from family and friends and all, and I appreciate the commitment each one of you has to the county, to the job you do. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Will. We have Mac Nolan. Mac's well known around here.
Good evening. Been a while. Hello. Let's go old school. Let's make some cornbread. What does it take to make cornbread? Cornmeal, buttermilk, and egg. Any amount of any three of those ingredients mixed together, you still wind up with cornbread after it's cooked. Since 1991, we've been doing the same thing. Trying to recycle better, trying to get people to conserve and divert and everything else, and that's not happened yet either. So the state of Tennessee is looking at trying to change things. So it's time to change. Change is not always easy, but most often you understand it to be for the best. So making the landfill larger is not the right thing to do here, fellas. It's just not the right thing to do. When I was here before, we looked at 2 transfer stations. Looks like that's going to happen. Looks like they're going to try to do a few other things that I was hoping that would be done. And I am tickled to death. It's all on the news that 2 mayors, Mayor Carr and Mayor McFarland, decided to work together. That's the first big decision been made since '09. Long time. Now, where I work now, they took on several years ago being independent. And it's worked really, really well. Got a lot of things going on, and we still got a whole lot of more things happening. So change is good. Y'all have a good evening. Williamson County Solid Waste.
Thank you, Mac. Gabriel Fancher. I hope I pronounced your name right.
Oh, yeah, with a name like that, it gets mispronounced occasionally. I am Gabriel Fancher, and I am from Rockville, Tennessee. I used to live in Murfreesboro, and I have been involved in this community and in this local government for nearly 20 years now. I first ran as a very young man against Miss Ely. I call her that after the spanking she put on me. But I ran to serve as part of this body, you know, and I've run for other offices. And I haven't figured out how to win yet. But I do care about this community. And that's why I do come and speak here. I have before. I speak at the city council. Most of the time when I come speak here, it's about taxes. I'm not a fan of people raising taxes. I know that I benefit from them when they are raised at times. I realize that. But I also realize that there are people out there that when you raise taxes, you're taking off new shoes off some kid's feet. You're taking meals off of somebody's dinner table. And sometimes people don't think about that. Earlier, the former commissioner, he said, do you want to be known as the most financially responsible? And I think I do. I do want to be known as the most financially responsible. And that's why you get elected to this position. No, it's not popular to say we need to expand this thing. It was probably a mistake when it first went in. I agree. But it's there. And you can't make it disappear. Those people that drive by Mount Trashmore will continue to drive by Mount Trashmore. The question is, will the rest of the people that live in this county have to pay higher taxes? Are we going to keep building houses out in the county? What do you guys think? Of course you're going to keep building houses out here. More people are going to move here. More schools are going to need to be built. More roads are going to need to be paved. More taxes will need to be raised. I just don't think that people are thinking this plan through properly. They're not weighing it out properly. And I feel like we need a better plan than what is being proposed here tonight. There are lots of new taxes that could come along, and the last thing we need is one more. Look, I just want you guys to know that I ran for office a long time ago because I have kids. And at that time, my oldest, who's about to go off to college now, was just a baby. She's like a year old. And now I've got two more back there, and I care about this community because the community I'm from was not able to keep me because they made bad decisions over and over again. Bad fiscal decisions leads to a brain drain. Do you want your kids to live here? Do you want your grandkids to live here? Then you have to make wise decisions, even if sometimes it's hard. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Now we have Building Codes report from Director Tanya Bell. Sorry, Tanya.
It's perfectly fine. I'll keep this short and sweet. Sounds like you guys got a lot to talk about tonight. Good evening, Commissioners, Chairman. I am going to give you the Building Codes monthly report for January. We issued a total of 264 permits. In January, 47 of those were single-family dwellings, for a total revenue of $177,989.22. Has any questions? I'll move on to development tax and school facilities tax. In the month of January, we collected $95,659.50 in school facilities tax, and we did not collect any development tax payments. And I will move on to zoning enforcement. Zoning enforcement, in the month of January, we completed 174 inspections. That concludes my report.
We have a motion and a second to approve the report. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a good
you.
night.
Thank you, too. Highway Department, Superintendent Greg Brooks, or? Okay, there's no report. Solid Waste and Convenience Center report, Director Wagner. Welcome.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am Bishop Wagner. I'm your Solid Waste Director. Rutherford County Landfill accepted 146.01 tons of brush for a revenue of $4,374 in the month of January 2025. We managed 649 tires in December for a revenue of $1,465. January total revenue, I'm thinking that December should have been a January. I apologize for that typo. The total revenue from the landfill scale operations in January was $5,839. Rutherford County Solid Waste disposed of 117.72 tons of waste from all sources in the month of January. 2,304.67 tons came from our convenience centers, and 483.32 tons came from our schools. We recycled and diverted 329.73 tons from all sources. That's a residential diversion rate of 10.58 for January. Questions?
Questions? Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the report. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have Republic Services. And before they come up, I'm sorry, Doug DeMasi. Planning and Engineering Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Commissioners. Pull that down just a touch. I just have our normal reports for you tonight. The first is the presentation of the available lot inventory. You will find that on your iPads. As of the end of January, there were 1,109 single-family lots available for permitting in the unincorporated area of Rutherford County. That's up about 120 or so from last month. The reason that went up so high was during the last week of January, there were about 3 or 4 major plat sections that were brought into our office for recording. So that really pushed the numbers up a little bit higher. So that just gives you an idea of what we're looking at right now for lots on the ground. Does anybody have any questions on that? Not, I will go into our rezoning report. We have one case for your consideration at next week's Board of Commissioners meeting. This is by Jeffrey Howland. This is located along Las Casas Pike, 2 different properties. They are, well, my iPad just completely froze on me, so I'm going to try to do this by memory. So, yeah, thank you. Anyway, bear with me just a second while I get over this. And as I was saying, that the applicant is Jeffrey Howland. He is looking for rezoning of a couple of properties on Las Casas Pike. He's looking to, there's 2 parts to the rezoning request. I'll go ahead and just jump right into the report. He'd like to zone the property for future use and development for commercial uses concerned with retail trade and consumer services consistent with our commercial services zoning, which is the zoning he's asking for. He's looking to rezone the existing property at 3299 Las Casas Pike, which is an existing gas station and convenience market, currently zoned commercial neighborhood. He's wanted to put that from commercial neighborhood to commercial services. Then on the larger property adjacent to it or surrounding it, he'd like to zone about 4 acres of that from RM to CS. The remaining portion of that tract, the vast majority of it will still be zoned for residential purposes. There is an exhibit that is in your is on your iPads, excuse me, that kind of shows the areas in question. There is also an existing single-family house on the larger tract that, if this is rezoned, would become a legally established non-conforming use. In other words, they could continue using it in the manner that it's currently used, but if they should ever redevelop it or abandon the use, then it would just revert back to the commercial zone at that point. course, the big thing to understand with this particular request is that any redevelopment of this property would require a site plan to be submitted to the Planning and Engineering Office. That would include things that we'd look at would be the access to it and parking. It would also include landscaping and buffering. Of course, our performance standards would also apply. During our presentation, the Planning Commission did have some questions about potential intersection improvements at Compton Road and Las Casas Pike. We did answer that TDOT would have to be involved since both of those roads are state highways. The other part of the intersection, the 3 legs of it are state controlled. The other leg, the eastern leg on East Compton Road, that is a county-owned road, so of course the county would have to be involved in that as well. There were also some questions about the potential uses of the property and how that would impact tax assessment. Following those questions and the public hearing, the Planning Commission did recommend approval by a unanimous vote, and I'll be happy to answer any questions on that request.
Mr. P.
Doug, of course, I was at your meeting, but have you had any more comments or calls on this?
No, may have gotten one just asking general questions, but other than that, no, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Well, I will ask one other thing to come up here, and the reason is because this is Public Works. Is that 4-way stop there, a lot of people have trouble turning because we don't have a turn arrow and we don't have a turn lane. And part of the problem with not having a turn lane, of course, there's potential for increased traffic with this expansion of zoning there and more traffic. But part of the problem is getting that is a state route, and there's a culvert underneath Compton Road. And I don't know if that would limit us being able to put an extra lane in there for a turn arrow, but we desperately need to get the state's help with that so we can add a turn arrow there. The reason I'm mentioning it, I noticed our state representative for that area is sitting in the audience, so anyway, maybe he can help us with that too. But if we continue the expansion that we're doing there, in which we are, I think we need to get turn arrows on that intersection.
Yes, sir. And like I said, any redevelopment of that property would open us up for the opportunity to potentially require a traffic study for them to see what kind of improvements would be necessary on that as well. So you're correct.
I have a comment.
Mr. Piercy.
4 or 5 years ago, under Mayor Ketron, we requested a traffic study from the state on that intersection. They came out, spent 48 hours, done a study, went back to Nashville. 6 months later, a report was sent back in here to this county that what needed to be done and what they would approve being done. I understood that we applied for a grant somehow to do part of this work, and the ball stopped when they couldn't make a decision on who was going to do the work. Do you recall any of that?
I do not. I would have to get with our county highway superintendent to talk a little bit more about that. I certainly don't want to try to speculate here without really having any more information than what I have.
It's been looked at and got to that point and stopped. So
I'll see what I can find out, Commissioner.
okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
And that concludes my regular report, Mr. Chairman.
Entertain a motion?
Motion to approve.
Yeah, I have a motion and a second to approve. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Please do.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for indulging me for just a minute. As staff, we've received some questions regarding the fees increases that our department put into place effective July 1st of 2023. As you're aware, all of our processes like site plan review, rezonings, plat review, whatnot, received some scrutiny as far as the fees that were being charged, and then also some changes to those fees. We also began charging fees for some processes that didn't have those, things like construction plan review fees, inspection fees, as-built drawing review, and address assignments. There's been some questions as to the result of those increases. Basically, what have we done? What kind of improvements have we made in the office since that time. And I just wanted to briefly go over just a few things. We have added 2 new engineering positions, namely a stormwater coordinator and also an assistant county engineer over construction who recently just started. We've also identified some additional positions for future years. Of course, that would be budget permitting. Some examples would be a stormwater inspector for residential construction. There's a lot of issues that deal with residential construction that we need to make sure we're taking care of. Also, some additional construction inspectors for roads, drainage, along with the ones we have already. It's also helped us implement new technology. Our electronic plans review system, of course, is some of the fruits of that, which is going to allow us to have digital online submittals, reduced paper plats and site plan submittals, also help improve our plan review times and responses. We actually had a training for some of that processes today, as a matter of fact, just a little earlier. This will all lead to better efficiency. Of course, we've also seen things like better technology for our inspectors with iPads that they carry around for their inspections, some new vehicles as well. We've had some very dated vehicles in our office, so that's helped as well. So I just wanted just to give a brief overview just to help maybe answer some of the questions that we've had on that. And that was really all I had to say, Mr. Chairman, if there's no questions.
Have any questions? Thank you, Doug. Now we're down to, I guess, what most people are here for, and that's the Republic Services presentation. And before they come, I'd just like to say, kind of gotten out there that I invited them tonight to have a presentation. I guess you could say that, but I invited them when I became chairman of this committee to periodically report to us because we are in partnership with them, and they've been doing that. This is just another part of that. But tonight's report has actually turned into a presentation for what they can do in the future, or what they feel they can do in the future to help them become a better business partner, or to, if they close, they're still going to be there in business, but they're going to let us know what their future looks like and possibly what our future looks like. And this is for information only. We're not going to be voting on this, not as a contract. I don't know what kind of motion will come from the committee as far as moving it on to be heard from another committee or the commission. I don't know that. But I can say we're not taking a vote, as far as I'm concerned, on a contract. This is information only for us to take home, digest, and at a later time will be discussed. So at this time, Mike Klassen, if you'll come up and present the presentation. And this is not a question answer night. This is only information only, a presentation. Welcome.
Right, well, that's getting pulled up. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. It's great to be here with you tonight. Certainly appreciate the opportunity to speak. If it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, we'll just kind of go right on through and take questions at the end.
Yes, sir.
So you all know me, but my name is Mike Klassen, and I'm here today as we come and present in front of this committee at a relatively frequent basis on behalf of Middle Point Landfill and Republic Services to present a master plan for a detailed and comprehensive solution for how our county will manage our waste and recycling for the next 30-plus years. We've titled this plan Rutherford County First because that's exactly what this plan does. It puts Rutherford County squarely in the driver's seat with a focus on ensuring the county stays in control of its solid waste and recycling destiny. This is an issue that we as a community have been talking about for what is approaching a decade now. From the first time I came and spoke in front of this committee nearly 5 years ago, we all knew that the time would be coming soon where a decision about our future would have to be made. As of today, Middle Point Landfill has 4 years of disposal capacity remaining. It's not 2 years, it's not 7 years, it's 4 years. And in the world of landfill permitting and construction, 4 years is more like 0 years. So as this committee clearly recognizes, the time to act is upon us. So let's get into it. The plan we're discussing tonight is a long-term solution created from listening to what you all, as county leaders, have told us you're looking for in a new agreement and what it would take for Republic to be part of the long-term here in Rutherford County's future. This master plan is a product of feedback we've received from meeting with nearly every county commissioner and internal and external stakeholders, including the mayor's office, the solid waste department, the Chamber of Commerce, WGNS, county schools, holding 10 open houses across the entire county, and hundreds of phone calls and door knocks with residents and businesses. The process of gathering feedback to inform this proposal has been done in the most inclusive, collaborative, and transparent way possible. So, what have we heard? First, any solution must have economics at the top of it. People in this county are not looking for new taxes. They're looking for revenue-generating opportunities, managing expenses, and not having new taxes. Second, we've received the message loud and clear. Rutherford County cannot be the place where Nashville disposes most of its trash. We must limit the quantity of out-of-county waste accepted at Middle Point. Third, it's 2025. People expect recycling. We agree that the less waste we put into Middle Point, especially as a byproduct of recycling, the better. So this plan proposes to work with the county to design a program that citizens want and that the county has asked for. And finally, fourth, environmental accountability and enhanced visibility to ensure the county has a means to hold Middle Point and us as the operators accountable to always be a good neighbor and an environmental steward. This plan is much more than just a status quo plan for an expansion. This master plan represents $1.13 billion investment into Rutherford County. It's a historic and unprecedented plan that puts Rutherford County first and in control with a fiscally responsible, long-term solid waste solution that modernizes the county's current solid waste system, closes budget gaps, and relieves the county of current and future debt. Most importantly, it saves Rutherford County citizens and businesses millions of dollars, all at no cost to the county. It ensures that Rutherford County achieves solid waste independence without raising taxes. I want to emphasize, as the Mr. Chairman had said earlier, what I'm about to present is just a plan. It's a first step. It's not a final or singular offer. To this end, this is a vision for Rutherford County. It is your plan. The last thing I want to do is stand up here and tell you what your plan should be. This is not about what Rutherford County can do for Republic. It's all about what we as Republic can be doing for Rutherford County. Our hope is that we use the next few weeks to receive feedback and tailor this plan further to exactly match your goals and vision. There's more we can do. Again, this is a first step. There's more we're eager to do, and we look forward to doing that together. By the numbers, what we're proposing includes the following financial components. First, free disposal for Rutherford County citizens for the next 50 years, valued at $769 million, for using a cost per ton of $80 per ton. I heard recently in a press conference that the concept of free disposal is not sustainable for Rutherford County residents. That is not true. We are willing to provide residents of Rutherford County free disposal for the next 50 years under this plan. Next, we're proposing to take over all operational responsibility, including environmental and financial liability, for the closed Rutherford County landfills. Currently, the county has in its budget $1.64 million per year of cost to do that. Spread across the life of this plan, it's $265 million that we would be absorbing, the county is not paying for maintenance of the closed county landfill. Next, we're proposing to more than double the host fee that we pay for all out-of-county volume, out-of-county waste that comes here to Rutherford County, from $1.20 to $2.50 per ton, totaling over $70 million in cash payments to the county of increased host fees. And finally, we're proposing to pay the $1.3 million per year of debt service on the county's transfer station for the next 20 years, which is the time that I believe that loan is amortized over. Now, that's a total of $26 million, but important to note here, we understand that the county voted for that transfer station under the premise that it would be an emergency backup plan for this county if Middle Point were to unexpectedly close, and we want to honor that. So while we would pay the debt service, we propose the county retains full ownership of its transfer station. So if anything goes awry over the course of this, you always have a fallback position, just like it was always intended. All said, the projected total is a result of, or the projected result is a minimum of $200 of savings per year per household for every single household in Rutherford County. And that number is almost likely double that for people who live in Murfreesboro. The cost of free disposal to the city of Murfreesboro is not included in these numbers, and all citizens in the city of Murfreesboro receive that benefit as well. Financials presented on the prior slide represent direct economic benefit to Rutherford County government itself, like I said, but fall short of capturing the true economic benefit to the county as a whole, including all residents and businesses. To help understand this true impact, the MTSU Jones College of Business completed a study analyzing the year one economic impact if Middle Point were to close. That study is posted to the Jones College of Business website, and copies have been available for folks here as well. What the MTSU study demonstrated was without Middle Point landfill as an operating business in this county, the county loses $52.7 million annually of business revenue, $16.5 million of wages, and 242 jobs. 242 jobs. That's not some nameless, faceless, out-of-state company. That is real local people who live and work here who would be directly impacted by this loss. The study closes out by saying, quote, "If the current operations ceased to exist, it would significantly impact Rutherford County businesses and residents." In addition to the total county economic benefit of Middle Point's operations, the MTSU study also analyzed day one cost of transferring waste out of county to Cedar Ridge Landfill in Lewisburg for both the county and the city of Murfreesboro should Middle Point close. And here's what that shows. For about an average of $90 per ton, again calculated from the study, between the city and the county are looking at $10 million per year starting immediately, just in increased disposal costs. Critical in this discussion is emphasis on day one. The reality is that if Middle Point closes, the county loses control of its goal of solid waste independence and faces uncontrollable runaway costs. Every county in Middle Tennessee is running out of airspace. Rutherford County does not have to enter that fight. But without Middle Point, Rutherford County faces a fight for ever-diminishing disposal capacity at ever greater distance away, and the classic laws of supply and demand take over. The costs grow exponentially. Cedar Ridge in Lewisburg has 8 years of life left. That's according to TDEC, based on information Cedar Ridge provided to the agency. If you take all of the waste that's going to Middle Point and you cascade it to Cedar Ridge, 8 years becomes 3 years, becomes 0 years, very, very quickly. The next closest facility is in Camden, 120 miles away. Double the distance at double the cost. You can follow the math. The costs are not controlled. And this is not solid waste independence. It's a short-term solution that grows more expensive by the day. But we understand that this is not all about economics. As I said, this is not a status quo plan for expansion. There's a long history here in Rutherford County of feeling like you are the disposal outlet for all of Middle Tennessee and Nashville. And the frustration of that feeling that you have no control over that runs deep. This topic has been a sticking point in many of our conversations, and we want you to know that we hear you and we're meeting you on this point. The first step in achieving solid waste independence is converting Middle Point into a more locally focused resource. And that's exactly what this plan does by reducing the quantity of waste accepted at Middle Point by half, a 50% reduction in the total amount of waste that we accept every single year. How do we do that? First, we agree to a contractually enforceable cap on all out-of-county waste. Second, a big part of that is we eliminate the residential waste that we currently take from Metro Nashville, Davidson County, which is our largest out-of-county customer. They will no longer come to Middle Point. The question's been asked in talking to some of you, well, about how can you afford to do that, right? How can you cut your business in half and drastically cut out your largest customer? It's important to note that our business portfolio in Rutherford County and Middle Tennessee is more than just Middle Point landfill. We're the largest collector of waste and recycling in all of Rutherford County. In order to operate as a business, we need Middle Point to exist, and to do that, we need you, and we need a partnership with the county. We understand that means a fundamental shift and a change in the way we've operated as a business here over the last 30 years. I want to be clear on one point here. This is not a complete ban on all waste coming from Davidson County. And eliminating our in order to provide free disposal for Rutherford County citizens, somebody still has to pay for it. So that free disposal is still subsidized by some amount of out-of-county tons. However, there's a cap on the number of tons that come in. So implementing these new contractual controls for our largest customer, obviously a large shift in our business model, but one that we recognize is critical for our future here in Rutherford County. Doing this ensures the future Middle Point serves Rutherford County first and foremost. This would be our new footprint. This will look like a familiar map to some of you, but just talk through it really briefly. On the north side of the map, on the top side there is Jefferson Pike, 231 running across the left side of the map. In red is the current permitted boundary of Middle Point landfill. In purple is the current permitted boundary of the closed Rutherford County landfill. And then in orange, there kind of in the middle, is the footprint between the two. Referring to that as filling in the valley between the two landfills. And you can kind of see there's a cross-section there showing what that looks like. Earlier, I talked a little bit about absorbing the financial and environmental liability of the closed county landfill, and that is part of this plan, and here's kind of where that comes into play. So we propose to bring the closed county landfill up to standards so that it is regulatorily compliant. The truth is, there is documented by TDEC uncontrolled groundwater contamination and uncontrolled landfill gas migration from the closed landfill. Now, that is no one's fault. That's not something anybody here did wrong. It's an old site, and that can happen. But it's also documented by TDEC in publicly available records that Middle Point doesn't have those same problems because it has modern engineering controls. We've had 30 consecutive routine monthly inspections without a violation. So all at no cost to the county, we will install modern engineering and environmental protection controls in the county's landfill, and then we'll fill the valley between those two properties. This is what we refer to as our southern expansion, pulling active fill operations away from Jefferson Pike and giving Rutherford County additional guaranteed airspace, also never going higher than the current permitted elevation of Middle Point. Important to note, we're not proposing to resume fill operations of the closed county landfill, and we would agree to put contractual stop to any further expansion beyond what we're talking here. Look at these two properties combined. The red boundary, which is a little hard to see on that screen, but the red boundary is what belongs to BFI, and the green boundary is what belongs to the county. In total, we have 1,000 acres combined. 1,000 acres presents a once-in-our-lifetime opportunity to do something big together. And what do I mean when I'm talking about this? This property could be redeveloped into any number of community-supporting uses. We could build 100 acres of parks with a bridge across the Stones River to connect to the East Fork Stones River Greenway. We could build a career training center partnering with county schools to train drivers, technicians, welders, environmental scientists. We could build a multi-million-dollar STEM accelerator facility to partner with county schools and build a curriculum to bring kids in to explore the outdoors. All of these ideas are something that's on the table. It's something we are eager to make happen, and really we're just looking for feedback from you as county leaders on those topics. When we talk about modernizing our waste management system, revenue-generating recycling is what we mean. We're all in agreement that the less reliance we have on landfills, the better. And our commitment as part of this vision is to partner with the county to construct, operate, and grow diversion and recycling programs right here. Now, modernizing doesn't mean pursuing risky, unproven technologies at great cost to taxpayers and just hoping they'll work out, right? It means bringing our waste system from 1989 to 2030 using proven, cost-effective, and immediately impactful strategies. Our commitment here includes the full range of putting in a baler and repurposing the county transfer station, all the way up to a modern, state-of-the-art MRF. But the details and economics of that are still to be determined. If that sounds a little undefined, it's because it kind of is, right? Because one of the only things that we can't do as Republic is we can't create the recyclable products themselves. For that, we need participation of cities and county government to help influence their citizens and businesses on the recycling side. That said, a great way to start is to proceed small and to build some momentum from there. So here are 3 ideas. These would be paid for by Republic, which we could do immediately, just ideas, again, which we would require very little effort from the county, but which could immediately jumpstart recycling participation and education to accelerate future growth. First is repurposing the county transfer station as a recycling hub. Right now, the county solid waste department is taking boxes one by one from convenience centers, hauling through Nashville traffic to the north side of Nashville, and paying someone to take that material. What if instead we put balers in a simple sort facility in the county transfer station? All those boxes come to that facility, get immediate efficiency from transportation and cost avoidance, and then we sell those products on the open market and generate revenue for the county. That option is definitely available. Second idea here is a citizen material recovery facility. Think of it like a flagship citizen convenience center that's as big as we want with none of the restrictions in our current facilities, but it's not just all the normal things we take there. It's a one-stop shop for everything that citizens are bringing. Household hazardous waste, oils and paints, mattresses, glass, electronics, all of those different things that currently don't have end markets and products, we could create here as a benefit to the citizens. Lastly is recycled asphalt shingles program. So I've personally worked to build these in other communities, and it can be quite effective. All it takes from the county is the roads department to write a spec in their standard asphalt spec requiring a small amount of recycled asphalt shingles to be included in the normal asphalt. That immediately creates a market. We could immediately start taking shingles, grind them up, and selling them back to asphalt batch plants in order to recycle that product. Again, we need your feedback on these. We're eager to see what the county wants to do. These are just some early ideas, but know that you have our financial support and commitment to seeing ideas large and small through here. This is something I'm very personally passionate about. As you guys know, I think I'm a lifelong trash and recycling guy. Have been in this career my entire life, and I've been an environmentalist that entire time as well. Working my whole career to first design facilities that protect the environment, but then to operate them in a way that is protective of human health and the environment. So when I think about this, and I put myself in your shoes as leaders and as citizens, listening to those who were speaking earlier tonight, I'd say, sure. You as Republic, in BFI, you've invested $20 million over the last 5 years to get your house in order so you don't have the offsite odors, so you're being a better neighbor, so you're cleaning up our roads. All of that's well and good. Well, how do we know that you're going to continue doing that long into the future? You wanted something from us now. Once you have it, how do we hold you accountable to that? That's what this is proposing. Citizen-driven council, we'll call it Environmental Accountability Council, to ensure that we are always being held to the standards of being a good neighbor. Now, this would be a citizen-driven council that's not a replacement to this committee, but would be a supplement and would include a new contractual ability written into a revised host agreement to hold us directly accountable on the things that TDEC doesn't regulate: odor, litter, dust, all of those types of things. If we're not meeting those standards that are specifically outlined in the contract will have teeth and penalties that you all can hold us accountable on. This also gives the community a trusted venue representing their interests to ask hard-hitting questions and get direct answers. So, for example, we hear a lot about groundwater contamination and air quality hazards from the landfill and those types of concerns, which we understand are real concerns. This would be a venue to address those directly with leaders of the community. Ask us hard questions, demand the facts, let us show that, let us communicate, and make sure everyone is operating with the same information to give people comfort. Ultimately, the key here is for the county and citizens to have increased control and long-term assurance on the good neighbor performance of Middle Point's operations. So, Rutherford County first. The 8 core elements of what we've talked about tonight are listed up here. Free disposal for Rutherford County residents, eliminating Davidson County residential waste, a cap on all out-of-county tons accepted, doubling the current host fee, assuming liability of the closed county landfill, relieve the county of its transfer station debt, construct and operate new diversion and recycling programs in partnership with the county, and establishing an environmental accountability council. As I said a few times here tonight already, this is a start. We can do more. We're eager for feedback from you, from county leaders, to help us know what that is. So thank you for the invitation to speak here, or the opportunity to speak here tonight, and the opportunity to hopefully be part of redefining Rutherford County's solid waste and recycling future. We have this presentation, the booklet that you all have. All that information is posted on our website for everyone to see and digest. It's middlepointlandfill.com. And the MTSU study that I think most here have a copy of, that is available on the Jones College of Business website. So all of that information is publicly available for anyone who wants it. And with that, I will take questions if there are any.
I'd like to say before we start the question part, we just want to stay civil, and I think you will do that, whoever wants to question, but this is not a time to be attacking anyone. We're just speaking. I'm asking you to hold your questions pertaining to the presentation only. Thank you. Any questions? Okay. Commissioner P.
You talked about possible MRF. When you envision that, and you're still bringing in out-of-county waste, are you talking about running out-of-county waste through that MRF too, or is that something y'all thought out?
So for the MRF, we were talking about, ideally it would be like curbside or source-separated recyclables. So any waste that's coming in, we don't have any plans, and this is kind of, I always laugh. I actually tell my niece this word, and she laughs at me every time I say it, but a dirty MRF, and she always says it sounds like a weird uncle, but that's what it's usually called, is a dirty MRF, which is where you're taking all of the waste that's commingled with the recycling, and then you're trying to separate it from there. It's a lot more difficult. It's a lot more contamination. So this would be all of the waste that's coming in from out of county. That still goes directly into the landfill. All of the waste that's coming in from in county still goes directly into the landfill. But separated recyclables would be able to be sorted and
Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman, Mr. Clausen, you mentioned when you're going through some of the financials a little bit earlier, something about excluding something from Murfreesboro. Could you re-explain that? Maybe I didn't catch it.
Sure. We built this presentation in the underlying financial model specifically for you as county commissioners to understand what the direct economic benefits were for Rutherford County government itself. Now, the city of Murfreesboro also enjoys free disposal at Middle Point for all of their tons, and it's double the amount of tons that the county takes. And so these numbers are significantly higher as far as the value of free disposal if we include the city of Murfreesboro's economic value as well. Does that make sense? The $769 million is just based on the tons you currently bring us. So it doesn't include the tons that the city of Murfreesboro would bring us, which also enjoys a free disposal benefit at Middle.
Any other questions? Commissioner P.
I'll wait on, well, you mentioned a community environmental accountability council. How would you envision members of that council be chosen from the public?
And not to put this back on you, certainly, but my belief is that the right people to appoint that council and determine what it looks like would be you all as the Public Works Committee and the County Commission. I think ideally it would be up to your discretion. We've seen it work well in a lot of different ways. Usually it's nearby homeowners all the way up through industry leaders and experts, if there are those in the community, to really help balance out the messaging and the communication that's happening. But again, I would definitely defer that to the expertise of this committee and commission.
Anyone else? Mr. Piercy.
I don't have a question for you, but I'd like to thank you for your presentation. You've put in an extra amount of time, and as always, it's top-notch. I have seen some ideas you have put out here that we could probably use probably on our own. It's kind of, I don't know, you've brought some good points to the table that we could probably do by ourselves as a county. The position we are in right now, moving forward with our transfer station, I think it would be wise for us to take this under advisement for further discussion when we see fit that we need it, and I would make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to take this presentation under advisement, and it'll be discussed at a later date. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Mike.
I've got another question. If you're
sorry.
going to vote before he runs off, it's up to you,
Mr. P.
Mr. Chairman.
Oh. Well, yeah. Yeah, we have a motion and a second. So we'll just take a voice vote. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Okay. Now, question or statement?
Well, when I say I've got a question, I've got a statement I want to make too. I think a lot of things that I've heard, I really like. They're addressing a lot of things that we've talked about. But, Will Jordan came in here a little while ago, and Will, myself, Commissioner Piercy, and Charlie Baum were 4 commissioners that pretty well said, hey, we don't want Republic to expand. And the reason we said that is because our people were telling us we don't want that. Now, I've seen this presentation or part of it. I hadn't seen all of this, and I appreciate it. I'd like a copy of that one. But I've told them straight up, my vote will depend on how the people in my district feel about this. And I'm calling people. I'll probably be going door to door and talking to them about it. I've asked them to do a survey, and I think that they're working on that. But anyway, I want it plain to people in the 4th District, which I think are affected more than anybody else in this county by that landfill because of the way the prevalent winds blow in the easterly direction. And my district is east of that landfill, or most of it. So I get a lot of those complaints, more so than, like your father-in-law, for instance. He's in that direction. I've been calling people. I've been surprised. I've had people tell me they don't smell it but once a year, and I've had people tell me it's been bad for 30 years and it still stinks. So, like I said, I'm getting mixed signals right now, but I'm interested in what's going on. I think it's a good, I thank Commissioner Piercy for saying, hey, let's put this on the burner and look at it. And I think that's our job. We need to find out what's best for our citizens here. But anyway, thank you.
Any other questions or statements? Okay, thank you, Michael. Just to be transparent, I was asked, and I already planned to, but I was asked to ask the mayor, Mayor Joe Carr, for a 20, 30-year plan for our solid waste for Rutherford County. At that time, which was a week or two ago, time flies, but he felt uncomfortable with doing that. He didn't want to make the plan public. For various reasons, I won't disclose those reasons. But I did ask for that plan to be presented. I'd still like to see that plan, and kind of really was surprised at the press conference about the memorandum of understanding between Murfreesboro and the county. I could have called a press conference and announced Republic's going to present tonight, but I didn't do that. I brought it to the public. and I think that's what we're supposed to do. And I guaranteed or promised that to the best of my ability, that's what I would do if I was chairman of this committee. I didn't want to be chairman of this committee. I was fine being on the committee and doing my part. But I was asked by several commissioners if I would be chairman and if I would stay open-minded and keep everything transparent, and that's what I promised to do to the best of my ability. And we can't control everything, so, you know, eventually down the road somebody say, well, you didn't keep your word, but I plan to, and I always have. That's the way I've lived my life, all my life, and I'll continue that. I'll be open-minded and do my best to do my part to move this county forward. Moving on, we have other business, and Commissioner Harris is asked to speak under other business tonight. If you
Thank you,
would,
Mr. Chairman.
If you would, Commissioner or Chairman, come up to the mic podium.
Thank you. I am here not to advocate for Republic, but I want to comment on the press conference that the mayor called. And I wanted to let you know that I am very against that. I didn't like that we got a one-day notice, but what I'm here to talk to is to this Public Works. As a chairman, I know that we are extremely confident in your ability to make the decisions that we need on solid waste. We believe that your recommendation goes a long ways, and we will definitely keep that in mind. Now, let me do a little history lesson here, and one of the ways I want to talk to is a lot of y'all are getting half-truths and some information. And I think it's time that I get off the sidelines and start telling exactly what I think. Let's do a history lesson. 2014, 2018 County Commission, they had a vote on Middle Point expansion. It was 20-1 against. All right, so then Mr. Nolan had got up here and said that the city didn't work together since 2009. It's not necessarily true, because the city and the county worked together on a report. It's called GBB. It cost over $100,000. And in that report, it said that the most viable option is to have Middle Point 2.0 expansion. Well, they didn't fit the narrative, so they went against it. So now let's go to 2018. I get elected. I have been watching these public work meetings, and I have been paying attention. So now let's forward to November 2018. I had a meeting with Republic. And I said to Republic 3 things. The amount of trash coming in from out of town is ridiculous. The smell is horrendous. And the most important thing, you're not a good neighbor. So let's go 7 years up to now. I want to address those 3 things. What if I tell you that 7 years ago, Public is not who they are now? They have been a good neighbor. They have helped educational programs. They have helped local organizations. We had a crisis, and we couldn't get our dumpsters dumped, and we had to close convenience centers. They came through. They helped our solid waste director and helped us in a crisis situation. They helped us during a tornado. My point is, they are not the same company they was then. Let's talk about smell. People complaining, Mr. Bratcher complained about it. What if I tell you that they put $24 million in infrastructure on smell? Drastically, the complaints have went down. I haven't had a complaint in 2 years. What if I tell you that? And people here say no, but there's 21 districts, okay? Remember that, 21 districts. And then we have people here that say they are detrimental to the county. What if I told you that in District 2, property values rose 21%? What if I tell you in District 3, they rose 20%? That's facts. I'm not here to advocate for a republic. I'm trying to say, hey, there's two sides to a story. And I just won't, when I see the Mayor McFarland and the Mayor Carr, and I say to myself, man, they just don't get it. But you know what? They do get it. They just can't sell it. And they scare you. Now let's talk about a lawsuit, federal lawsuit. Mayor McFarland sits there and throws that out there. And all y'all think we got three-eye fish and we're all going to have another ear. That's not true. It is called PFAS. Did I say that right? PFAS. All right? The Middle Point has PFAS. County landfill has PFAS. So the water treatment center has PFAS. Y'all have PFAS. It's in your urine. This lawsuit about PFAS is not EPA regulated. It is not TDEC regulated. And you hear these horror stories and you believe, I understand. But what if I told you that Republic gets inspected every single month by TDEC, and for 30 months they ain't had any violations? Why? Can you not believe that? They had one where they self-imposed it and told on themselves. So let's talk about money. There is no way, whether we go with this organization, with Republic, or whether we don't, there will be an economic impact on our economy. And we do not want to raise taxes. But there was nothing free. You take something free away, you got to pay for it. And there is no study. Mayor Carr doesn't have a plan. Have y'all heard it? While you shake your heads, have you heard the economic plan, what it's going to cost y'all? Now, they had an economic plan, and in my opinion, Mr. Chairman, Republic don't need to be given a thing on economic sustainability. MTSU does, and you might want to ask them to do it. Whether you want to think that or not, money is a big deal. Mayor Carr doesn't have a plan at all. And then we talk about city, county working together. Another history lesson. Mayor Carr and his solid waste director was up here. I was on budget, and they said the landfill is going to close in 2 years. I said, Mayor Carr, you're not qualified to make that statement. He said, you're correct. But his solid waste director said it was. Well, it's 2 years, and they got 4 years. So then, Mr. Cush and Mr. Piercy, talked about a transfer station as a plan B. I agree. A plan B in case they closed. So I made a statement. I went to the city. I talked to the city manager, and we worked out a deal that we would build a transfer station together. Save us $10 million. I got blown up. Commissioners didn't want to do that. They didn't want to make a deal with the city. They wanted our own transfer station. But now, Mayor Carr and Mayor McFarland, they want to do together and work on transfer stations. Can we get our $10 million back? Everything that we do has to be the full truth. And one of the things they said up here that I actually believe, I actually agree, is that review board. 30 years ago, we did not have any say in what they did. I'm not asking Republic to do a review board or a committee. I'm demanding it. Susan Allen, looking right at me, is the biggest watchdog in this entire county, and she is the first person that I would nominate to be on that board. She is the first one. Accountability and transparency is the reason we're here. Now I'm going to leave with this, and I'm going to give you 2 guarantees. 2. If we had a vote today, I guarantee it wouldn't be 20-1. And I guarantee you Republic is not the same company it was 7 years. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman. Is there any other business?
Mr. Chairman, I heard somewhere in this conversation tonight that our solid waste director was not prepared to make their long-term plan public. And that's what I think this committee asked them to do last month, was to be prepared this spring, sometime this spring, to present their long-term vision of solid waste for the county, cost associated and that type of thing. Is that off the table now?
Well, that's not exactly correct. As I stated before, I went to the mayor, asked the mayor, because I'm not to go to our public works director, I'm to go to the mayor, because public works director is under the mayor. So I went to the mayor and I asked what I was asked to do, was to ask him for actually a 30-year solid waste plan. As I stated before, the mayor felt uncomfortable with doing that. He didn't want to make that public at the time. This was I don't know if it was a week or 2 weeks ago, but that was our conversation. Now, I will add, he did say he didn't want to make it public. He did go on to say that I or any commissioner or jointly, commissioners could come in because we wouldn't be deliberating. He would present what he had privately in his office. And that's what I was alluding to earlier in my statement, that that's not being transparent, in my opinion. Now, people have different ways of working and controlling their office or doing their job, and I understand that, but that's my opinion, is that's not transparent, doing everything in the office. And that's not the way I'm going to work. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring it. Now, I'll go to the office and have discussions, but I'm going to bring it to the public. That's my job. I'm going to continue to do that. So I hope that, I kind of rambled a little bit, but I hope that answered your question. It wasn't the solid waste director. The mayor felt uncomfortable with presenting it to the public. And then we had the press release. Any other questions or statements? Commissioner Cush.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Come around. A couple things I want to address. Oh, there's actually a long laundry list of things I'd like to address, but I am not in the mood to fight that fight tonight because it doesn't need to be fought tonight. We're in no hurry to make a change. I will remind everybody that the current policy of the commission is there is no expansion of the landfill. Period. We voted on that in 2018. I was one of them. Half the people in this room voted 19-1, no expansion. That is the current policy of this commission. Has not changed. What we did tonight shouldn't even have happened. That was in violation of our chairman. He broke policy. He said it was just a report. If you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. What they presented was a need for our landfill and our V. Lipstick on a pig. They shouldn't even have been here. Circumvent policy. Now, Mr. Harris, you made several errors in your presentation. I was on the or GBB board. I was on that committee. And you know what? The number one thing was not Middle Point 2.0. There was 5 choices that were laid out by that company that we spent $100,000 on that report. Middle Point 2.0 is just one of the things that was an option. It wasn't the only one. I was on that board. So do your homework. There were many other things that Mr. Harris has listed that are half-truths, all right? Here's why the mayor, I don't know why he's throwing the mayor under the bus, but the reason it is hard to put a plan together is because there are 2 active lawsuits going on right now with Republic. We don't know how those are going to end. And how those end could create another lawsuit, and we, the county, could still be in the crosshairs of that. So how do you prepare a long-range plan when their answer to everything is to sue somebody? How do you prepare a long-range plan when the muscle in the room, their way of doing business is to sue? So that's why it's hard to put a long-range plan together. Now, this financial report, you know, that's really cool. That's a bunch of numbers. Who paid for that? Who paid for this MTSU report? The public did. Well, I can take a bag of money to any university, and depending on how they measure and how many people they talk to, I can tell them that I want to be 6'4" and good looking. And if I give them enough money, that's what they'll say. So take this with a grain of salt, right? Statistics are like a woman in a bikini. What you see is pretty interesting, but what you don't see is what's really critical, all right? So this debate is going to continue for a long time. And at some point, it's going to come to a head. And Mr. Harris says, man, he's tired of messing around. He's getting off the sidelines, wants to jump right in it. Well, man, be careful if you want to jump right in it, because your people that are close around you are working for Republic. Your campaign manager is working for Republic. The guy that's guiding you to run for mayor is working for Republic and is trying to convince all of us, plus the city council, give over the V. So if you're going to play with the devil and partner with the devil, you be dadgum sure you be careful what you say, because all points are pointing at you and Republic as joined at the hip, and your 2 ball fields you got synthetic turf on with Republic. So man, you just be careful. If you're going to open up that can of worms, be careful if you're going to get stuff thrown on you. So folks, again, this is just the first step of a long bunch of BS that's going to go on and on and on. But I'm telling you, folks up north, I'm in the south part of the county, District 7. I don't smell anything. It's on the opposite end of my county. But you know what? I have empathy for every one of you up in the north. I feel your pain. This is a county issue. It's not a district issue. It's a county issue. And why not partner with the city? They're part of the county. Murfreesboro, Laverne, Smyrna, Rockville, Eagle, all of them. They're all here. We're all brothers and sisters. I don't understand why does he not want us to partner with the city? I don't get it. Strength in numbers. Their tons, our tons, make it possible to even negotiate better airspace with other landfills. And landfills is not the ultimate answer. Cavemen buried their trash. We're beyond that. This is just a stopgap till we can find a technology. Our committee, Public Works, for years have been interviewing different technologies to find the silver bullet. What we've realized is there is no silver bullet, and one technology is not going to be our answer. It's going to be a multitude of answers. But you know, what we've also found is there's some really cool stuff happening in Europe, Belgium, Asia, in foreign countries, but nothing in the U.S. is really catching on. A, regulations are different. B, mandates are different. What works in California doesn't work in Tennessee because they have laws over there that are really green, and they mandate certain things and they subsidize certain things where we can't do that here. So I'm telling you, we have not found a technology yet that is the answer, or technologies yet, but they're coming. We're getting closer. So this burying all of our stuff is short term. Bishop stood up here and said only 10% of our stuff is recyclable. That's pitiful. But you know what? We do a poor job of educating you and every house in the Rutherford County about recycling. That's our fault. And that's your fault. You got to want to recycle. But that's part of the education process. But we can reuse, we can repurpose a lot of these recycling things, but you got to want to do it. It may have to hurt you a little bit in the pocketbook to want to do that. But you're right. There's going to be, the days of free trash is going to be, when I was chair of this committee, Public Works Committee, every week I told you, the days of free trash is going to be over. There's nowhere in the Constitution that says the government provides free trash. I hate that for you. But if you're in the city, you're paying for it now. If you're in a big subdivision, you may not be paying it, but you really are in your HOA fees. Somehow you're paying for it. Nothing's free. So it's going to hurt. But let me ask you this. Can you put a price on the environment, the air, the water, the community, your property taxes? I mean, property tax is going to rise everywhere. Man, rising tide floats all boats, right, with this economy? I'm on the planning commission. We get subdivisions right next to the landfill, and I'm thinking, why in the world would anybody want to buy a house? But people are doing it. I warned you. They're doing it. Anyway, I've said enough. Our current policy is 19 to 1 to 1, no expansion. Our Central Regional Waste Authority, part of this lawsuit that's going on, said nope, no expansion. Waiting on a judge to vote on that. So again, how can we propose a plan when there's two lawsuits that directly affect us, our neighbor? How can we make a plan? All right, I've said enough.
Thank you, Commissioner. Got a lot of good points, but you misrepresented some of them too. The first one, right off. Excuse me, sir. Commissioner Cush stated that I said that Republic was here to make their report. You'll remember correctly, or you can watch this when you get home, watch it and replay it. I said they've been periodically coming to us reporting, but tonight's report has turned into a presentation. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. You're out of order. We have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor? Aye. All opposed? We're adjourned.